this by having you guys stand out here or walk in, open the door. You remember the demo I played for you? The knock on the door? Having people move establishes position in our minds, helps build the story of where we are and everything.
Sure.
Great. So we need to kill the fan.
It sure feels good.
Yeah, we'll do it in between.
That's right. That's okay.
Anytime you want, we can stop and take a little break.
Okay. Well, no, people are turning on books.
Oh, okay, that's so good.
Well, Beverly Washington, it is such a pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you on behalf of John Hope Franklin Center for Reconciliation for providing us with this opportunity to just talk to you about the incidents of the 1921 race riot and how that information was passed down to you. If we're going to start with, if you could just give us some background information on what life was like for you in Tulsa, information about your family, siblings, and if you can go ahead and just share that information with us, just give us your full name.
Okay. I'm Beverly Washington. I'm a product, I was born right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I graduated from Booker T. Washington High School in 1959. And then from there, I went on to Jefferson City, Missouri to attend college to the help of Carrie Person Neely, who was my voice music teacher in Booker T. Washington High School, and she helped me get a scholarship to go to Lincoln University. And also Corita Rose Johnson, we called her Mother Pigeon. She was very instrumental in helping me go off to college too. Then after I finished college at Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri, I applied for a scholarship, and I went to the University of Oklahoma, and through that endeavor, I was able to get a master's in music education with vocal emphasis.
Okay, and let me interrupt. What year was that when you finished your course of instruction?
I graduated from Lincoln University in 1963, and then I went on to a year and 2 summers, and I finally got my master's there in 1968.
Excellent, excellent. And if you could share with some information about your family.
Well, there are 6 of us. My oldest brother is Thetis Roger Wales. Then I have a brother, Donald Wales. My brother, Edwin Hurd. Emil Hurd, and a baby sister, Camille Hurd. And we're all products of Booker T. Washington High School. Of course, I went to Dunbar. I forgot to tell you, I went to Dunbar Elementary School, and also attended Carver Junior High School. And then I taught in Kansas City, Missouri for a number of years after I married, and I taught vocal and instrumental music there in Kansas City, Missouri public schools, elementary, junior high level. And because of a lifestyle change, I moved back home to Tulsa in 1994. And so there's a saying, you can come home again, and I found that you can come home again. It was like Mother was still living. Mother was 80 when I returned home. And so it was a chance to spend all that time, with Mother, coming home during that period of time. And reminiscing about things, our lifestyle, how we grew up on Midland, the culture that Mother raised us on. And Mother was a visionary. And as a young child, Mother worked before she went to Hillcrest as a child nutritionist. She also did domestic work. And on those jobs, Mother would take us on those jobs with her. And we had different assignments for the Jewish family and the Italian families that she worked for. But her vision was to show us that there were other jobs waiting for us, and the primary thing that we should do is get an education. Mother highly stressed that. And so all of us are thankful for Mother doing that for us. We're all college graduates, and my oldest brother got his training through the Navy. Thetis Roger Wells got his training in the Navy. And my father was born in Oklahoma City. So my older brothers were born in Oklahoma City, and I was born here in Tulsa, and then my younger two brothers and sister born here in Tulsa also.
Excellent, excellent. What was the community like? You said you graduated from Booker T. Washington High School. And what were elementary schools and middle schools that you attend?
Well, as I said, I attended Dunbar Elementary School, which was right across the street here from the Rudolphsville Library, and Carver Junior High was right across the street here from the Rudolphsville Library. When I grew up as a child, everything was self-contained for us right here. Markets, theaters, entertainment, drugstores. We didn't have to want for anything. It was all over here on the north side, which was really an asset. And I call us a generation of walkers, because we walked everywhere, to school and to the store. And I think that's an asset as opposed to today when the kids are bussed out of their neighborhood. We have a lot of good self-esteem, a knowledge of our neighbors. There's a good unity in the neighborhood, growing up in families and surrounded, in the neighborhood that was surrounding us. So I enjoyed that a lot.
And you came up during a time where it was, we consider it the period of segregation.
Yes.
What were some experiences that you encountered?
Well, as a child, we'd always either go over to Madison and catch the bus and go downtown Tulsa. There were certain stores that we could not go in, and we didn't question that. Well, we didn't have a reason to question it, because there were other stores on the north side that supplied those things that we couldn't get downtown. And it was like Kresge's back then. We knew we couldn't go upstairs to the main counter to sit and have refreshments or food. So we'd go downstairs and where we were served. There were fountains that said, white people to drink from the water fountains, and also for color. So, but our self-esteem was embedded in us from growing up through the church and through our homes and through the school. So you didn't feel that you were lacking anything when you had that experience of going downtown.
It sounds like this was a prosperous neighborhood, even though it was self-contained.
Right.
So what were your role models? Who were your role models within the community?
Well, I grew up in an era when it was home, school, and church. Also, there were a number of local business owners on Greenwood, the Dream Theater. Up on Lansing, there was the Mann Brothers grocery store. There was a People's Drug Store on the corner of Pine and Lansing. And there was a Williams Drug Store. We had excellent role models in the business world. It's also teachers who were very dedicated to us to make sure that we got the best education possible. Also in the church. I was very active in the church. Mother Pigeon saw too that she was quite a visionary. We called her Mother Pigeon. Carita Rose Johnson, she had a good connection of diversity with other white churches. So God gave me the gift of singing through my mother's ability. Her mother was a great singer. So I'd go to a lot of the white churches and perform and sing. And so it was a diversity that, even though downtown there are some stores and things you couldn't go in, but Carita Rose was a visionary, and she had a chance to take me to different churches to sing, and she was also the person that enrolled me at TU to take private voice lessons out there with Getty Craig Murphy. And so she played a very important role, as my mother did too. I got the gift of singing from Mother, and Mother Pigeon, as we called her, offered the opportunities for getting private vocal lessons and have a chance to share my gift, both in the white community as well as my own North Tulsa.
If you could describe to me the stories that you heard about the 1921 Tulsa race riot, but then from a generational perspective, from your mother or from people in the community.
Well, my mother was born in 1913, and when she experienced the race riot, she was 7 years old. So because of that impact on her life, it was something that was not discussed to us by Mother. When I returned home in '94, there were two young men from Oral Roberts who adapted a musical called The Song of Greenwood. And I just have a picture I can show you of the cast. This is the cast that performed The Song of Greenwood, and I was one of the coordinator for the production to contact survivors. And so here is a picture of Miss Avery, Miss Love, and Mr. Monroe. And there's a picture of Mother. And in the article, they have a chance to tell their story of what happened. I'm sorry, that name is Ernestine Gibbs, the picture right here, telling their story, what they remember as a child, a very descriptive description of what they experienced of the 1921 race riot. And so this was production was performed in June of 1998. And so because of that, of them putting that production together, I was able to get a visual picture of it from the musical standpoint, as well as the survivors getting a chance to tell their story. And here's a picture of the cast and the two men who wrote the production. I'm looking on here to tell you their names, but it's in this article right here. And then the honorees that came who were honored, and I'm blessed that my mother was still living then to have an opportunity to witness this. So it was in 1998 when Mother was able to give her detailed story, and Miss Avery, I was able to give her a detailed story what she remembered as a child, and Mr. Monroe.
And let me interrupt you. Miss Avery, she was a white lady?
Yes, Miss Avery was a white lady, and in here she describes what was going on that day when she said she was practicing for a recital when the director of the Holy Family School rushed in to advise the students that a riot was underway. She told them to go home, don't turn on any lights, and pull the blinds down. And she gives an account of what happened that day when she was at Holy Family School as a student.
And those articles are in what newspaper?
Yes, this article is in the April issue. It came out April 30th, 1998, and this is in the Oklahoma Eagle.
And Oklahoma Eagle is?
Oklahoma Eagle is a newspaper that was founded by Mr. E.L. Goodwin Sr., who was a publisher.
And it's a black newspaper?
Yes, it's a black newspaper. It says on here, "We make America better when we aid our people." That was their motto that was on the paper. And so this is how this story, I really got a better understanding, because for personal reasons, I know Mother probably did not want to discuss that with us because she didn't want any of our dreams or aspirations for our future hampered in any way about what happened when the 1921 race riot. Because when I grew up, all that devastation and destruction that Mother witnessed, all the businesses and theaters and homes and all that had been restored during that time when I grew up in 1941, when I grew up.
So did she personally share these events with you later in life?
Yes, she did. In fact, I was able to interview Mother on several occasions. I had a chance for her to tell me about what she remembered, and I'm glad that I did that, because not only do I have a pictorial history, but Mother was able, I can see her story. She can tell her story through the eyes that she witnessed as a child, and I can have that for my grandson, who is now 7 years old. They said a picture is worth 1,000 words, but it's the spoken word is also a golden asset to have.
And we don't have time to go listen to the recording from your mother's recording that you've taken. But from your perspective, how did you value that information, or the vividness? How would you describe the events as she portrayed it in your cassette recording that you made?
Well, it was a devastating experience. Mother said she was very, very scared, witnessing the planes throwing out the kerosene bottles with the bottles filled with kerosene, and they were lit and it threw them down. She's on the video, on the cassette, she tells that, and how the houses were burned. So it also, in her own words, to her to tell me that in her own words, it was such a vivid thing, because even though at the time I first interviewed Mother, when I came home, I moved back home, Mother was 88 when I got the idea to take the tape recorder to interview her. In her mind, something like that you just don't ever forget out in your mind. So she had a strong remembrance of that. And then I interviewed her again at the age of 90.
And what is your takeaway from that recording as far as what has transpired in Tulsa since you captured this information from your mom? What is your takeaway from that experience?
Well, taking that experience and remembering what Mother described and seeing the changes, the economic development that is going on Greenwood now, a more diverse development of the new One Oak Field, the Greenwood Chamber that is now located downtown, and having a chance to walk through and experience the grand opening of the John Hope Franklin Reconciliation Park, it goes to show you that even though what was meant for bad, a lot of good is coming to downtown Tulsa now. And I did want to share with you too, during the time when Mrs. Eddie Faye Gates was very instrumental in making sure that the riot survivors received this gold medallion, and it was such an honor for Mother to receive this as a 1921 race riot survivor. So I'm glad that I was able to witness that. And this is a picture of Mother, and I just cherish this opportunity to be able to be Mother's mouth, be Mother's eyes, and be Mother's ears to relate to you the story that she was able to tell me when I interviewed her on the cassette tape, and even when they did the play, the musical, The Song of Greenwood, that to see that put to adaptation of music and song and spoken word. So it's just been a wonderful opportunity that I've been able to, that I returned back home at such a time when to see the transition from what happened with the 1921 race riot, the growth of Tulsa, as I remember as a child, and now to see the regrowth again. Everything is coming full circle.
And there was an investigation that was done in relation to the race riot that was conducted by, that was set into motion by Senator Maxine Porter and House Representative Don Ross. Do you have any information that you want to share with us regarding your involvement with that investigation, or with the individuals and personalities that participated in this investigation?
Well, this is the Oklahoma Eagle. This is October the 2nd, 2003, when the legal team came in to do all the depositions. And this is a picture of the riot survivors and their descendants. This took place at the Greenwood Culture Center. when the legal team came to town, and the result of that, they made, here's the pictures of the legal team that was
Could
here
you read
during that
those
time.
names for us?
Yes, that was Johnny Cochran, Willie Gary, Jim Goodwin, Michelle Roberts, Charles Ogletree, and Dennis Sweet. And in this brochure, they give a complete summary of all the legal action, the people who came that day, and the history of the mission and objectives, what they were striving for, and bringing all this information to the public. And it also has a summary of the race riot results that are in here. And then later on, the day that we all met, there's another meeting that took place at the Unitarian Church over here on Greenwood. And these are the pictures of some of the riot survivors and their descendants who were in attendance at that meeting that day. And they listed their names, and as well as their pictures in here. So, as I said before, it's the saying that you can return home again, and I can see the positive, even though it was a terrible incident, you can see the positive mission statement that the people have been able to put forth in bringing a reconciliation about. And it's a series of events that will happen. So I've had a chance to volunteer and at the John Hope Franklin symposiums that they've had for the past 2 years. I've been able to be a volunteer there, and that was wonderful, hearing all the different speakers and the clinicians that have come in, and meeting the astronaut that designed the sculpture at the John Hope Franklin Reconciliation Park. It's just
Ed Dwight.
Yeah, Ed Dwight. Thank you for giving that name. And sorry that I didn't bring the original program of the Song of Greenwood, the two young men from Oral Roberts who wrote that and produced that musical.
Now, with your experience with the stories that you've heard from your mom and the experiences you've had with different groups and institutions bringing this to light in Tulsa, what is your opinion as far as the progress with the diversity, with the racial divide that existed at one time? What do you envision? What have you seen now?
Well, with the things that happened as a result of the race riot, the African American Resource Center, Alicia Latimer, has developed a 1921 race riot kit that schools can, teachers from different schools can come out and check that kit out and teach that information to the students in their school, which I think is a helpful tool. And then another thing is have an opportunity like this to tell your parents' story, and what I remember, how when they had the race riot and how the development of Tulsa, North Tulsa, grew when I was a child growing up here, and then seeing the new renovation that's going on now. It's just, like I said, it's a circle. Everything is a circle.
And describe, where do you see from a visionary perspective, the future of race relations in Tulsa today?
Well, I think the future of race relations in Tulsa is growing because of the use of the symposiums. People are able to, they have free events where the public can come and hear different noted speakers come to town and hear what has happened and what they plan to happen. And so that helps the community to be educated in regards of what reconciliation means. It starts with each person reaching out, making a difference. It says reach out and touch somebody's hand. I had one of my prayer partners tell me once that you'll come a stage in your life when you start living the songs you've been singing. And this is what we're seeing with this reconciliation. People coming forth, making a statement and making a difference and wanting unity in Tulsa.
Well, Beverly Washington, thank you so much for sharing with us today. You have been a joy to talk to.
I want to thank you again, too. It's been wonderful. It's been rejuvenating for me, like I said, to be able to come back home and make a difference and see what Tulsa is making a difference for everybody. And been able to prick the ears and mouth and for Mother, because she made such an impact on our lives as growing up here in North Tulsa. And thank you again.
cut.
We did.
Thank you so much. I hope I didn't.
No, that was awesome. It was,
blind
because
us.
you have connected so many dots. I interviewed Joy Avery, Mrs. Avery's daughter, and so when we get a copy of that, and we're gonna get it off the microfiche that Alicia has,
Okay.
which I didn't know she had that resource till today, that she had all those